This has rockier music than I remember.
Did you play it already?
I played it a little bit, and then I gave up on it because I thought, no, I don't want to do this one for recording. But then our internet went down, and all I've got's the stuff that was downloaded. So this is what we got.
Well, that doesn't sound promising.
No, I mean, maybe, I mean, this was a long time ago, so maybe I was either being too harsh on it, or if it's bad, we can make fun of it. But it was downloaded,
You just needed somebody
I felt like it's been too long since we've done something. We got to at least try to keep up the pretense that this is about games. So, and then the fact that it was one of the few things that was downloaded that we haven't done yet.
Well,
I was gonna do Arkham Asylum because...
Wow. Okay.
Because you just were so impressed by Arkham Asylum. Because I have not actually had the chance to play through all of Arkham Asylum, which is going to sound strange considering that I've played Arkham City multiple times. But I have a disc of Arkham Asylum that just had a glitch somewhere in it that would always crash shortly after the first mission.
Oh, that's a shame.
So I recently bought the whole collection because they had it on sale for like $12 for all 3 of the Arkham games, and I was like,
Steam or?
I think it's on Epic, but I was like, hey, for $12 for all 3 of these games. I mean, I'd pay $12 for just one of them, and I got all 3 of them. So.
Now, are you going to use
But I didn't download it in time before our internet went out.
Because obviously you're PCing that, but.
Well, eventually, but I've got a USB Xbox controller.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
But we're not doing that today because it's not downloaded. So we're stuck with this Blade Runner knockoff that wasn't very good. At least as far as I remember. Maybe it was better than I remember. I am going to inaugurate which of these sodas?
We have some...
I'm going to go with the Weeb
taste
soda.
Testing we're doing.
I'm going with a Weeb soda called Dragon Tail. That's got a very Weebish dragon emblem on it.
The name itself is Weeby.
The primary reason for this, though, is because it claims to be an energy drink, so I suppose I should get this out of the way first. But, I don't know. We'll see. Oh, and it's a proper pop topper, no less.
I'm going to go with something a little more bland.
However, haven't budged an inch.
I have not budged an inch, and I'm not apologetic for it. This is a random cream soda.
Yeah, let's get the mic experience. There you go. On the rocks.
I'll let you know if it's
Whoa!
worse.
Okay, so it's a vibrant silvery blue. Smells a bit like a car fluid.
And it is a car fluid.
I'm a touch nervous about that because it's an energy drink, and so energy drinks sometimes are weird. Hang on. We're running out of space around here.
This one's a twist top, which doesn't bode well.
That bodes fine. Pop tops in this day and age are a little bit unnecessary.
What, pretentious?
No, not necessarily. They're just unnecessary. Oh, why?
Mine's not going to get the... I forgot mine's purely directional, so...
All right. I don't know how well I'm set up. But anyways, the other thing I liked about this game, at least,
I don't know how you would
clicked on
pronounce
it, is that when I
it's
started
French.
it, Sioux City.
Is it Sioux?
I like how you call it French when it's a city in like Iowa.
Yeah, but it's that is it.
Sioux City, I'm pretty sure, is an actual American city.
American, as far as obviously it's American city, but I'm saying the name SI.
It's usually called the Sioux. I don't know if that's how they themselves pronounce
maybe
it.
that's Native American.
They're usually referred to as the Sioux. Whether or not that's accurate, I don't know.
Anyway, there you go.
But I like that this game, when I clicked on it, opened in a window that wasn't a full screen window by default. Because ever since Morrowind, I hate having to try to fiddle.
Magic Lady by default.
No, I just hate having to fiddle with getting the thing to run the way it ought to run. Because I don't understand the need for the full screen mode where if you tab out, the game just is a diva and refuses to function. It's like I have to be at the center of attention always, and if you ever alt-tab out, I'll never record again. So I like that this didn't do that to me. I am going to attempt to drink breaker fluid. It doesn't smell human.
Well, it ought not smell human, I hope. If you're drinking something that...
Woo!
That face was priceless.
Nah, that ain't right. No, that ain't right.
What does it taste like?
Not food. It tastes like some kind of an
vitamin.
Tastes like some. Well, maybe more of that. There's a hint of auto fluid of some variety. Ah, you got your dumb cereal all over me carpet. Why are you putting it on that box? Put it on your lap.
Because it's... I need some sort of...
I mean, it's not... It isn't bad in the sense of like, oh, how disgusting. I mean, my face might have communicated that, but that was more out of shock. It is more just this is not something that tastes like I should be drinking it.
Is it sweet or...
Not even. It just...
It's gritty bitter.
Not even
That's
bitter.
what I'm saying. It's vitamins.
It isn't bitter. It's... Okay, let's see what it's supposed to be. Ice mint blizzard with lemon. I'm getting the mintiness.
It's chalky.
Actually, it kind of is. It tastes a little bit like...
That's what I mean, vitamin E. That's...
Yeah, but like kids' vitamin. Like fake talcum flavored.
That's not a good flavor.
No, I mean, again, energy drinks, they all have this kind of weird, that tastes like liquid electricity. So, I don't know what to make of it.
Sioux City cream soda, however, is incredibly drinkable.
Oh.
It's not good, necessarily.
Well, but see, sometimes there's a cream soda that's like, this is the main event, and then sometimes it's like, I'm going to eat something and have a cream soda. And very few cream sodas function in that secondary
This one
capacity.
is very, very light, and I actually appreciate it for that. Like, Bedford's made a great... The reason that one has still been my top spot is because it was so perfect as far as the way it was sitting in the sweet and the not watery, but like light camp. It was just perfect in that balance. This definitely errs on the side of just light kind of, what am I drinking? But it's good.
See, this has that weird issue that one orange thing we had the last time was, which is the literal, like, while you are in the act of drinking it, it has a refreshing quality. But then the moment you actually swallow it, it's like, oh, here's all the aftertaste.
It just forces you to keep drinking it because
so I
it's
almost would be tempted just to like chug the whole thing, be like, here's the refreshment, and then it's just like, here's all the aftertaste afterwards, because it's like a weird talcum vitamin Sprite.
Vitamin Sprite. That was some great Foley. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This is not
Good.
Yeah, but it's also not exactly it's not unexpected either. Like, I figured these would either be all right, or they were gonna have this kind of weird vibe, and I'm not surprised by the weird vibe.
Wow.
I think we should.
I think you.
I'm having
actually taste that just
hang
because.
on, I gotta find a place to put my soda bottle.
Just to clean your palate, because this is
Well,
remarkably.
I'm not done.
The whole, like you said, the secondary cream soda task, that is very good.
You sure?
I
haven't even tasted it, and just lifting it to my mouth, I'm certainly smelling sugariness. It's weird how it does that, because it certainly does not smell like it would be light.
Is it light? It's
Reasonably.
It's very just.
It
mild.
has now I'm probably some kind of skewed because of this, but I'm almost getting a weird cotton candy flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if that was like the weird combination of cream soda and talcum mints.
But that's what I mean. Cotton candy is obviously pure cane sugar.
You know, now that I'm thinking about it,
very light.
If you took a Junior Mint, squeezed the insides out, you get something not unlike this. Because admittedly, the Junior Mints, if you didn't have the chocolate, would be a little much. And that's what I'm kind of getting. So maybe if I had a chocolate, actually, I don't think that would help at all, but maybe if I was eating chocolate while I drank this, it'd be fine.
It's like those weird drinks you have to, like, bite the lemon and then drink the chaser for it to taste like chocolate cake or whatever. Which drink is that?
I got no freaking clue what you're talking about.
We're just sitting. Somebody knows out there. Put it in the comments.
We're just sitting here listening to this admittedly decent rockish intro, but I figured we ought to get something started. The question is, we could either start a new game or we could start from where I left off, and we'd be just as confused either way. So
let's start again at the new game.
Yeah, just for the sake of anyone who's
maybe
curious.
It's just you.
I feel like I have enough of a game sense to know that this is strange in its controls. Not its controls. It's got me thinking about controls because that's what it's showing. It's just not compelling is what I'd say. It's not necessarily that it's like, oh, it's clunky and bad. It's just there's nothing about it that I was like, I want to see what the rest of this is. The thing is, I got to get through this if I want to drink anything else. Like, again, in the act of drinking, tastes kind of like a funky Sprite. The moment you swallow, it's like, here's the talcum powder. Here's nothing but junior mint filling. All right, I'm down to like the last third. This looks like something this guy would drink because he looks partially cyborgish. That's the other thought. Like, this wouldn't be out of place in a cyberpunk world as like if you've got some kind of a implant, you'd probably need to drink this. This is probably some kind of a cybernetic medicine.
It's transmission fluid.
Well,
for your brain.
I mean, yeah. So not like horrendous, but not something I'd get again. So let's get our cyberpunk what's the word? Bingo card out. And we can already check 1 point off for Grizzled Detective.
Actually, you can check 2 points off for
Magic Lady.
pure junior mint filling.
Whoop. All right, yeah. So I remember this was a weird. The intro, admittedly, I was like, okay, this is something. Oh, there you go. I can run. But if I remember correctly, this doesn't carry over much into the rest of the game. I think I was supposed to be pressing whatever those buttons are. Well, there you go. Thanks for joining us this week.
You died.
I think I was supposed to be giving some kind of distractions to get him off my back. But yeah, so we got, well, I guess maybe that's 3 points actually. So we got neon signs everywhere. We got a grizzled detective in a trench coat. And we have the magic lady. Whatever that was about. Because the cyberpunk dystopia is nothing if not always kinky.
We know exactly what that was about. What does he do?
That. Oh, well, okay, that didn't hardly get him behind me at all. Okay, I'm steaming him in the face. And then there's magic mushrooms and whatnot. What? Oh, and then I jump off a thing. What's weird is that the strangest part about it is it's not like, oh, it tastes like Junior Mints. It has the aftertaste of Junior Mints. Like,
which is horrendous.
Having drunk it, it's like you drink it as you're drinking funky Sprite.
Aftertaste is like that oily, weird.
No, well, it's like that kind of minty, like heavy. Doesn't taste like mint. It tastes like you've just had mint, and it won't leave.
It's an extract.
Yeah,
that's probably what it is. Is that they use mint extract
right, I gotta
in that.
Just get rid of the rest of this.
Anytime you're saying, I think Dragon Tales is lost.
See again, whoo! While you're drinking, it's like all right, it just sort of tastes like a funky Sprite.
In Dragon Tales, I wish I may, I wish I might not drink this fluid tonight.
I have no clue what you're even talking about.
That dates me probably. I'm sorry.
Oh wait, was that the show with the dragons that were two-headed? Yeah. Okay. I remember that exists is about the only thing I can say to be definitive.
Well, and there was this weird, like they got sucked. The main characters got sucked into a book. Got sucked into a book. Let me finish before you start laughing. You weirdo with the magic lady.
Well, it's just the way you fumble around it. And like the main characters got sucked. They had this thing.
Look at him fumble with that.
Okay, so the question is, I bought 2 of these dragon things. There's 2 different flavors, so
And both
do I
of
get them?
suck.
Do I get them both out now, or do I just? It's gonna be an albatross around my neck if I don't do it now. So, huh? Maybe the next one's gonna be better because it claims to be some kind of citrus.
Yeah, this Sioux City is really, really good.
Citrus blend sour tornado. Huh? Yeah, because that's the one thing about
That
Junior
one's going to be like a terrible Red Bull. I promise you that. Because anything sour is going to taste like that weird. To me, maybe it's just me, but Red Bull has always tasted kind of funky to me.
I'm not a fan of energy drinks in general
Well, that's true. Yeah, I mean.
because they almost always taste odd.
Well, then why did you get 2 energy drinks?
Well, because I didn't actually realize they were energy drinks until I had put them in the cart because I was most interested just in the Weebish label. I was like, what's this about?
So you're highly suggestible.
Well, I mean, I'm not above judging a book by its cover.
Okay.
So I looked at it and I was like, these are either going to be interesting. I mean, my thought was essentially that no matter what happens, they'll be interesting. Which, I mean, I guess you could say they are, but that doesn't make them good. I have no clue how much I'm going to be on the mic because I'm moving around too much, but this is cloudier.
That
Smells
just
like...
sounds like it's going to give you chlamydia.
It is smelling vaguely Mountain Dewish, so we might actually have ourselves something
It looks
tolerable.
Mountain Dewish.
Well, it's like a pale Mountain Dew. Ooh, a pale cloudy Mountain Dew.
That's what I'm saying. It's
Ooh, okay,
it's,
no, it smells like Mountain Dew. It
Mountain
smells like
Dew
a Mountain
has
Dew.
some STDs. That's what I'm
It
saying.
smells like Mountain Dew's. It smells like one of those
You will
seasonal
go-
Mountain Dew. Like it's like that. That. Well, no, they actually had a. It was some kind of weird apple flavored Mountain Dew that was called something like Raging Cider. Or
Raging
it was some kind of
hormones.
bizarre Mountain Dew name. But I've had that and it wasn't like the worst thing. I like how this guy's only response, we've just been sitting here after he fell down a waterfall. But his whole only response is like, ouch. Ouch. Fell off a waterfall onto what is this presumably concrete floor. Like, this doesn't explain how he survived this fall. Unless, I guess, maybe he just is an android. Oh, never mind. It does explain. He must have landed on a pile of mushrooms. In a sewer. Alright, well, we can cross another one off the bingo sheet for seedy underground.
Which is very cyberpunk.
Hence the bingo sheet.
Okay.
Were you just reiterating what I already said?
Somewhat, yes.
I hurt my wrist and ankle in the fall. Is that all, pal? You're mighty lucky to be alive, is actually.
I hurt my knee.
Fell off a 12-foot waterfall. Hurt my wrist and ankle. Bit of a bugger. Press tab to access your memos where your current tasks and files are. Heal my wounds. Okay, hand part, foot part. So we are an android. I guess I didn't realize. Oh, yeah, and then my hat's running off. Because if I remember correctly, we get a cat sidekick, which we can then check off. I think that might actually be bingo.
Can you come again? You get a cat sidekick, you do what now?
Check off, I'd like to point out. So it was not nearly as bad as you stopping in the middle of saying they get sucked. Looks like this robot took a fall. Could I get some of his parts? I'm not a creep, I swear. And they're going to make me play. This is my main issue with the game is I got to do this kind of stuff. It's like in order to get my hat, I have to scare the cat that's taking it. And then I got to use steam vents to get it away. I'm just like, it's a little bit,
It's heavy-handed.
it's excessively video gamey. By that I mean, this wouldn't be out of place in like an adventure game. Why doesn't this,
This is like what if you brought one of those adventure books to life, that's what this would be.
Like a choose your own adventure
Like
book?
a choose your own adventure book. Turn this pipe,
What?
see what happens. Get your hat.
Okay, so I gotta get Steam.
You cannot get ye hat.
I have to get Steam to come out of that hole, but there's holes over here first. I ain't got a clue what I'm doing, pal.
That's what the magic lady said too.
I got holes. What? Oh, there we go. I somehow
You got holes, what?
I didn't even know what I said, so I wasn't sure how it would apply to what you're. You got holes that jingle jingle.
A very festive, speaking of seasonal.
Well, she might be a cyborg.
Happy Christmas, everybody.
I'm just saying. Ooh, don't want to
Well,
picture that.
I'm really
All right, I'm
enjoying
going to try my cloudy, raging apple. I mean, it smells better. It tastes less chemically, but it tastes like a drink I don't like. Like it just tastes like a sour apple Mountain Dew.
That was so matter of fact. It tastes like a drink I don't like.
I mean, that's the thing. It tastes like it's meant to be a soda. It doesn't taste like it's meant to be a car additive.
The other one
But
is a little
it
questionable.
does taste like a soda I'm not a fan
Pretty
of.
sure you actually could have used that other one to run a car.
Maybe. This... Ooh, wow. Yeah, it's definitely like a sour apple Mountain Dew, which is not for me. I'm not a fan of sour apple. But it at least tastes like a drink.
Well, like its label claims too.
Yeah. And
The other one was like, yeah, this is some blizzard. No, it's antifreeze.
Yeah. So, a cat. What are your thoughts? I'm just going to stop it there. Might as well. What are your thoughts? Do you have any thoughts? Penny for your thoughts.
I hate Brenda.
The question is this...
What are my thoughts on
Okay, so this is actually our cat. I wasn't sure if this was just a random cat or actually our cat.
Okay.
Because he's a
Why does he look like a chimera?
Us or the cat?
Both.
Wow, wouldn't this be something? A maintenance station used by pipeline workers. I should be able to recover my hand parts. Until I find enough mechanical parts. Yeah, like the robots that are just conveniently dumped around here. Again, it just feels like a cheap adventure game was I think my main criticism in it. Criticism of it, rather. I don't remember what I'm supposed to do. Gotta fix some things. Anyways, you have any interest in the cyberpunk genre?
No. The steampunk thing was more interesting to me, but even that was like the people that get really into it, I just don't quite.
Who would those people be?
Well, there's a whole group of people that do the weird.
Well, but
they
you can't go.
dress up and go.
Yeah, but see, you could cut this off at any point, and just there's a whole group of people who do the weird thing.
Well, sure.
That's true.
I'm saying
Hey, what's
I'm
this?
saying steampunk and cyberpunk to me fall under a bracket of it's almost trying too hard to be nerdy. Like
Steampunk, yes. Cyberpunk is a little better in my opinion. And I actually am more. I mean, technically, if I had to pick one, I'd pick the diesel punk because that's pretty much everything I ever have liked. Is
but what even is that?
BioShock.
No.
BioShock is technically more diesel than Steam because
BioShock
it's
3?
no, all of them. Strictly speaking, steampunk means the most advanced form of power generation is the steam engine. So that's
Right.
like the 1800s. So imagine if culture froze in the 1800s and all technological development. Well, exactly. So technically, diesel punk is electric power exists, gas engines exist. So the latest stage of development is technically like the 1930s, which would be BioShock, Fallout. Technically, Fallout would be more of a ray punk or atom punk or
What is that?
These are
Those aren't even
they are. They're not
Explain
really.
it, because that makes me mad that there's even
fusion.
something so
Basically,
stupid.
well, no, because essentially the whole thing about Fallout is that there's like nuclear power has basically been
that
evolved
kind
to
of
its
Adam.
maximum power. So it's literally like, you know, the Fallout universe has nuclear batteries and like nuclear powered cars. So it's like that's.
I'm following.
So technically, that's I don't know. People either call it Ray Punk or Atom Punk. I'm not sure which one is the dominant one, but you can, as evidenced by the fact that it's not well established, it isn't.
Well, it's kind of its own genre. But
Well, it is, but it's not terribly
at least
well
that
fleshed
one
out. Like
gets
everyone knows what steampunk is, everyone knows what cyberpunk is, and diesel punk is getting to the point where everyone knows what it is. Whereas all the rest start to get a little bit. You got to start asking. I don't know what that was about. So, okay. I thought I took apart this guy's something. Who knows what it was I took off of him.
You took off his mouth parts.
What am I going to use him for?
I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you.
Mechanical ankle component. All
You're
right.
going to use him in Dragon Tales.
I'm going to fix... Are they going to jingle, jingle, jingle? All right, yeah, I need to get power so that I can stick my ankle back on. Anyways.
Yeah, I
The thing about steampunk is that it was never more than a random setting for the sake of an interesting aesthetic. Cyberpunk actually arose as a medium for essentially, I mean, there's a reason why all cyberpunk stories have a similar theme, and that's basically because it arose as a genre specifically used to satirize and like sort of be an allegory for sort of corporate techno dystopianism, where I mean there's a reason why in every cyberpunk world corporations own everything, nobody has any rights, and it's all an allegory for essentially like that kind of political
would Tron
climate.
technically be cyberpunk?
Yeah, definitely. I would say.
I see. Part of me doesn't know. I suppose the different groups in this particular field of or in this particular, what would you call that, fandom? I suppose.
What do you mean?
But
what?
As far as I don't know that I would be able to actually speak to the various differentiations of like Steam versus Cyber versus
Well, that's why I don't know that there are any strict ones. Like you could start splitting hairs, and a lot of people do. I thought I didn't actually pick that thing up.
Should we do that? Why don't just leave the hairs alone?
Yeah, I mean that's where I'm happy with the distinctions we have.
But
I don't think we need
do
any more.
think
Because some people would try to split like, well, technically, early cyberpunk has its own name because like Alien isn't technically speaking a cyberpunk. I've heard some people try to call it, because cyberpunk is like super futuristic, where it's like the digital age. Tron's a good example where it's like the digital age, given its maximum point of theoretical evolution.
Sure.
Like take the digital age and evolve it up to its maximum potential, and it would be like essentially everything's hypercolored, everything's sort of transhumanist. So Tron.
Which I kind of like that.
Well, yeah, whereas you'd have something like Aliens, where it's like, okay, yes, it's a sort of a sophisticated future, but everyone's still using like DOS, and all the computers are CRT with giant like beige boxes.
Yeah.
So it's like, is that cyberpunk? Some people have called it. I actually like Yahtzee's jokingly referred to it as DOS punk. So I'm like, that. I kind of am okay with that, but again, it feels like splitting hairs, mostly just because I think that's at least a funny way of putting it. I mean, it has an aesthetic value because, like, I loved the fact that in Alien Isolation, the giant AI that runs the ship is literally just a giant beige terminal that has a built-in keyboard and a CRT screen, and like you type to communicate with it. It can't speak. It doesn't do anything. Literally, this is the only interaction with like this super complicated AI that runs an entire space station. I'm like, there is a humor in that juxtaposition. It's almost Star Wars-esque.
But see, that's what
where it's like, we have incredible technology, but it's all clunky and bleeps and bloops, and
yeah,
it's a funny kind of juxtaposition. But Oh, this was the part of the game I hated. It was really early on, so we now have to play as the cat to catch cybernetic rats because those would exist in this world for some reason.
Why do we need to do this?
Because they are not real rats, they're robot rats, and they have power cells that I can snag. And for some reason, regular rats weren't a big enough problem in this universe, so we created robot rats. And so I literally have to wander around the sewers trying to figure out how these mazes work to catch these rats. And I remember, like, this was one of the first things I did in the game, and I was like, nope. I think you've lost me already. And I've already forgotten what's my pounce maneuver. I wasn't paying attention. Oh, oh, okay. I also didn't realize there was a point-and-click scheme. I forget.
Yeah, I don't know that I've never been associated with the fan base to really.
Well, but
speak
see,
to
I
it.
don't know if it's fair to call it a fan base.
Dude, there's a huge community of people that.
But
do
it's
the
not
whole
one
steampunk
franchise is the
thing.
thing.
No,
So
I
can you
agree.
call it a fan base? It's like saying,
Well, what would you call it then?
I don't know. Because it feels like you're a fan.
Nerddom.
A fandom is of a specific thing. Like there's the Lord of the Rings fandom, but you wouldn't call it the fantasy fandom, would you? I don't think you
No,
would.
that's true.
Maybe you could, because I guess it sort of works.
So your,
but,
your argument is it's too broad a brushstroke?
well, at least that's not the way I've ever heard it used. I suppose it's not that it doesn't necessarily apply. I have an attack button, but I don't know what it is.
I don't know. I do know though that the whole
The game
vibe
tried to
has
teach me,
always
and I
been.
wasn't teachable.
I suppose I would say it this way: the items that people had, like the actual equipment and like stuff, that always intrigued me in those kind of cyberpunk, steampunky type things.
I'm warming to this slightly. The sour apple is kind of jarring at first, but you sort of get used to it.
Like for instance, in BioShock 3, like there's parts of that that I'm like, this is kind of cool. Like you using hot air balloons to hold up parts of the city, and
That one is admittedly slightly more cyberpunk-ish, or slightly more steampunk-ish, because it's set before the other.
But
Technically speaking, BioShock 1 would be more of the diesel punk because it's set in like the 60s.
right.
Whereas Infinite is technically like the 1880s, which would be this proper steampunk age. It's loose on that, though. I don't know how strict you want to
Well,
be.
I know that.
I don't know
that
what my
one
attack
wasn't as well
is.
received either, but I appreciated that one, but I don't know that I would ever go. This is something I really like. As
The thing about cyberpunk is that it has a tendency to be
motif.
preachy. Because of the fact that it is often used as an allegory. Sometimes that allegory is really heavy-handed.
How so? Like in Tron, obviously, it's like
Tron's
sure
kind of heavy-handed. Well, depends. I feel like it's not a subtle story. Oh, okay, so I just have to sneak up behind him? That's stupid. See? So, I mean, it's just like you've lost me early on in this thing you've done, game. Anyways. Even Cyberpunk Edge Runners, which is the most recent thing people will think of, which is an alright game, or alright show, I should say. The game I actually haven't played, although I hear that it has been patched to being alright now. But even the show, I felt it was a little bit unsubtle.
yeah.
So I don't think I guess I don't actually have a oh, now okay. I see. See, again, this is why I was just like, this as a puzzle, this is sort of facile. Because I don't even actually have to attack them, I just have to sneak up on them from behind. Anyways.
I don't know.
One more. Yeah, it can just be preachy and a little bit like, capitalism sucks, am I right? And it's like, okay, thanks for your incisive commentary. Because there's not, like, I would, well, I was going to say Deus Ex does it better. Deus Ex is heavy-handed in its own way. The original Deus Ex, from what I gather, which we should play sometime. I don't actually own that. I feel like we should because it's a classic of PC gaming. It did a better job of the a more subtle narrative of how, because there's it's not fair to say simply because it's allegorical a lot of the time that makes it bad. Have I not caught 3 rats? I thought I had. It just depends on how preachy the allegory gets, because there's a reason to suggest that. Oh, okay, here's where there goes. So where does he go when I do that? Where'd the rat?
I can't.
Oh, here he is.
It's not.
I can't speak to it. I don't actually really know much about the original Deus Ex, other than that people say that it's good and it's subtle and it's a decent, cyberpunk story.
What you're doing is essentially trying to carve out a genre that I don't know that it needed its own bracket.
Well, but
there are certain.
It kind of did, because it couldn't go in any other bracket. Because essentially, a good cyberpunk story is a critique of the concept of transhumanism.
How so?
Well, because that's what like Blade Runner is about. Essentially,
it's transhumanism as far as
it's transhumanism as in the idea of humanity merging with technology in a means to further its own evolution.
When did that happen in Blade Runner?
That's what Blade Runner is all about. Blade Runner is about replicants. Cyborg androids, essentially.
Oh, I'm thinking Maze Runner.
That was a garbage film. Well, no, it wasn't very good.
No, it wasn't very good.
It was...
the book is better.
Have you read it? I haven't.
I had to read it for... I can't remember which class it was, but...
What
I think
class
it may
would make you...
It was when
reading
I was going
is
through
taught
undergrad.
Garbage.
No, it was when I was going through undergrad and when you were doing undergrad for like youth ministry stuff.
So they made you read a bunch of garbage.
Yeah, it was dumb.
You gotta read garbage because the kids read garbage.
You gotta understand the garbage that they're reading.
Otherwise, they'll just be talking garbage and you won't know what they're saying.
But the children love the
and
garbage.
Again, well, but then again, I suppose people say the same thing that the Hunger Games books are much better than the movies. So.
See, I don't know if I agree on those.
Have you read them? Mm-hmm. I've heard people say
I
that
had to
they're a
read
lot.
the first one.
They are much more of a genuine and subtle critique of the politics involved.
Yes, they're a little less heavy-handed, maybe. Yeah. What I'm getting at is
that's great. See, this feels like, what do you call it? This feels like adventure game puzzles. This machine will only work if the batteries are aligned from weakest to strongest. Why? That seems like a kind of a dumb machine, but okay. And I can't tell what these are because they're biological rat hearts, because that's a thing. This one's obviously on the top. So these two clearly are out of sync. Yay! Yeah, so I think that was my main critique of this, is that it's a little bit too adventure gamey. Which maybe that's not bad for everybody. Some people might be nostalgic for adventure games and they want modern day interpretations, but
maybe. I'm not a fan. This reminds me a bit of Metroid, the early Metroid.
You're going to offend a lot of people by saying that. And you're also going to throw me completely for a loop because I wouldn't agree at all. So,
early Metroid?
Samus at least moved faster than this.
Well, okay.
Samus had a laser attached to her arm and could.
Speed is hardly.
Well, Metroid was known for its up-paced action. This is, if anything,
action.
The exact opposite of fast-paced action.
Yeah, but there were still like puzzle bits that were annoying.
This kind of adventure game puzzles, reorganize batteries in order from weakest to strongest. Platforming puzzles are a different kind of thing.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Anyway, what I was saying was I just feel like I like the artifacts, I suppose, if you want to call it that.
You like the aesthetic, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, the idea of having like a clock that runs off of steam power, or like a,
so steampunk then, not cyberpunk.
Well, sure, but I mean, even with cyberpunk, it's like I like the idea of maybe the environment.
I think the idea that is popularized recently by the cyberpunk game, the concept of the cyber deck. Essentially, it's like a imagine a Pip-Boy, but good. So it's essentially a small wearable computer that can actually interface with stuff in the world, but it's not garbage like a Pip-Boy. Because think about how big a Pip-Boy is and the few things it can do.
Right.
You'd be like, if these existed, no one would use them. I mean, yes, it's got a map on it, and that's about all it's got that you need. And I guess the ability to keep track of journals, and I guess maybe it can monitor your health. But it's like, if that was really all it could do, and it's that big and that heavy, it's like, no. So I'm interested in that kind of concept, but I've actually thought that could be an interesting like replacement, because I basically use my tablet that's my main device. I don't use well, sort of. I mean, not exactly, but that's my go-to device. I don't use my phone much because I just have a simple flip phone now. The tablet's the thing that's got most of my stuff on it. So I was like, if they could make this small enough, I mean, it doesn't need to be wearable, because that honestly is just a why.
Yeah.
That's what I need for that. Restoration, I thought I had ankle parts from that one robot. Oh, I didn't put them in the machine. Yeah, and then I have to let a robot meant for pipe repair perform surgery on my ankle. Oh, and I'm having some kind of a hallucinatory flashback from running away from the plague doctor.
From 5 minutes ago.
Anyways, I forget what I was talking about. Yeah, I actually think that that's an interesting idea, because I would genuinely... I've seen people make them on YouTube where it's like, here's my version of a cyber deck, where it's like, if you could actually turn it into... But the problem is, could you ever make it better than just a tablet with a fold-out keyboard? Because the problem is, I'm not sure you ever could. Because that's essentially what everyone makes, is like, here's a miniature screen.
Imaging, that's about the only
yeah, but those don't really exist. And here's
it's Wally.
Yeah, kind of. Cyber Wally. BBX. All right, so this Apple thing is getting better on me. It's still not like something I'd probably get again, but I'm not looking to get it over with so fast. I don't know. Because I've seen... that's the main thing I think about it, is this. I think it's cool, but I can never see why you would ever do it. Other than just because you wanted to. Like, if you're just a guy who's interested in computer science and you just want a project to tinker with, then yeah, it's like, I can understand how that would be nifty. But it will never surpass just a tablet from a reputable manufacturer and a Bluetooth keyboard.
Sure.
Because what I actually would genuinely like, the only way I would ever actually do it myself, is if it's like, okay, if you could basically turn it into a super miniature proper Windows machine, where it's like, this actually runs a desktop operating system and isn't an iOS, or what do you actually call? Because they're obviously not called iOS. iOS is exclusively Apple, but I'm saying I don't like almost any phone/tablet based operating system.
Yeah, it's OS.
I'm not a fan of well, no, because technically Windows is an OS, and operating system is just the system that operates the hardware.
Yeah. But
I'm saying I don't like the app-based OSs. I don't know. There's got to be a name for those, because Android/iOS, they're both in a category of the mobile operating systems. Yes. Whereas it's not a desktop OS, is my point. There is a distinction between desktop and mobile operating systems. So if you could make a cyber deck that runs...
Yeah.
If you could run a cyber... Well, just because I don't like applications, to be perfectly honest.
I see what you mean.
I'm not a fan of them.
Now I'm understanding what you mean.
I would honestly just like, could I not just have... If I could basically make my own custom tablet that actually ran a Windows...
That's what a Windows Pro... I mean, that's what Apple Pro is, essentially. Like the iPad Pros.
They run it's an operating system, though. They have apps.
It's an operating system, but it runs full-blown computer apps.
They're apps though. They're not the computer. There's not those. If you tried to install them on a computer, I don't think they'd work.
No, it's not the same, but they're computer equivalents. Like meaning I can do the same amount of stuff.
Yeah, but I still don't like apps. I don't like the way apps run. I don't like the way
it runs the same as what I'm saying.
No,
like
they don't. Because it's a separate version. It might run. It might have all the same features, but it's not the same app. It is a mobile version of this app. That doesn't inherently mean it's a more limited version of the app, but it is a different version of the app.
Back in the day, it meant it was limited. But.
Well, yeah, but just because it doesn't mean that now doesn't mean I don't know. I like desktop systems because essentially that's just because in some ways, I guess it's just because I like the window, not necessarily that I like Windows, the operating system. I like Windows, the technical concept of you have a desktop, literally. Because, I'm going back to the old, I don't know why I need to look at my weird bio scans. Alright, so here's all my stuff. I guess this is probably tutorializing stuff I need to... So we're not an android, we're just a cyborg. We've got a whole bunch of implants, because of course. We have one heart and one lung. And I guess that's it. Yeah, okay, cool. Can I get out of here now? I don't know what you needed me to do, pal.
What's the difference between an android and a cyborg? Is it...
An android is a completely mechanical thing. Data is an android. I can't think of a cyborg example offhand. An android is a robot that looks like a person. A cyborg is a person with robot parts. I'm trying to progress in the game while also trying to make sense of what I'm trying to say. I think we are in a flashback period before I fell, and here's the Plague Doctor thing I saw. So I think this is some kind of foreshadowing. Is this a One Piece reference? Okay, so clearly I'm haunted by something. So maybe what happened when I fell down the waterfall was a complete hallucination based on guilt. I'm guessing this is a One Piece reference. Because that looks like a One Piece reference. I don't know. I'm going back to the old school terminology, meaning a desktop literally as a... The reason it's called a desktop is it was meant to be a literal digital version of a desktop. It's like this is where all the stuff you're working on can be open at once. You can switch between it easily. That's what Windows were for. It's like this is essentially, you drag it around, you can set it up. And yes, my tablet can do like split screen mode where I can have two apps open at the same time, but I have to select that.
Yeah.
Like I have to say, okay, I want to open these two apps at the same time and this is how I want them oriented. And I have to, because it's not meant to do that, a mobile device is meant to just run one thing at a time. It's a modern development that the processors are now fast enough that they can run multiple things at once. But the screen is... It's just not, they're not meant for that. Yeah. They don't run a window that you could move around wherever you want it, resize it to however you want it, and fit it however. It's like, okay, I can only have two things open at once, and I have to select what they're going to be. I just like the desktop system.
Sure.
And so if you could get a cyberdeck that was essentially a Windows machine, but small enough to basically function like a tablet, that would be me. But essentially then that's like a Tony Stark level custom project. Because a lot of the cyberdecks people use, it's like, okay, yeah, it's like Raspberry Pi and stuff, or Arduino, and that's nifty, but you're not going to run desktop apps on those, most likely. Unless you've got like an electrical engineering degree.
Well, but I saw one guy that linked I think it was 40 of them or something together.
Well, yeah, okay, but now that's no longer wearable.
Right. It's like
or even travelable.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say I like the principle of having cool gadgets that are a bit anachronistic in that the look aesthetically doesn't seem like it fits what the technology is representing. That's what I like about that juxtaposition.
See, I'm not actually that big into that.
But it does bother me. The part about the culture that does bother me a bit is the weird obsession maybe with it being anything and everything in a game or a film or whatever. It's like, okay, calm down.
I don't know what you mean by that.
The fans of something like steampunk, as far as that kind of a genre.
You should have some of this for the sake of your energy.
Well, no.
Come on. I had some of your cream stuff. At least this. Hey, I'm giving you the better one. Wow.
I'll take.
Well, okay. I'm gonna throw something at you if you doze off. Then I offered you the peaceful solution. I just need to get a Nerf gun in here. That'll be what you hear in the background.
That's
is
not terrible.
If ever I'm rambling for a couple seconds, then you just hear. Thunk. That was me having to get you up again.
Have a Nerf gun with needles on the front of them.
Ooh.
Ow.
Well, you could do that. If you stuck a pin up in like the hollow side and stuck it just through far enough that it comes through the rubber on the other side, that would be cruel. But it also wouldn't like harm you. It would just hurt.
Yeah.
Because obviously the pin wouldn't go. It would only like just barely prick the skin, but that would still be enough to be. That's a terrible. It's like putting rocks in a snowball. Well, I guess that could theoretically cause a fair amount of damage if it was a big enough rock. But I mean, what am I supposed to be doing in here?
Fixing Wally's neck. What is he doing?
Pogo Wally.
Pogo Wally. No, that's good. It tastes a bit.
I'm not a huge fan of sour apple.
Actual apple, but just sour.
Well, yeah.
Like normally, I do like when you get like a sour apple flavor, it's like candied apple that's sour. This tastes a little bit more like you're just eating a sour apple.
Yeah, some people would like it if you're like that flavor. Again, that's what I mean. It tastes like a genuine beverage, just not one that I'm necessarily the right customer for.
Uh-huh.
Whereas the other one, I'm like, I'm not a robot, so I don't think anyone's the right customer. Woohoo!
This guy right there.
Then again,
Rexus.
I mean, Data is my favorite character in Next Generation, so maybe I am secretly a robot.
Anyway.
Oh, you need to repair the lights first before you can check the. Where's the lights then, you dozy?
That's what I mean is that the kind of groups that are into a particular like steampunk or cyberpunk get obsessive about making sure that it represents that in totality.
I don't know what you mean by that, for instance, because fans being obsessive is sort of a. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I thought
Yeah, but they come off as I think you using the word preachy fits because it.
Well, that's when they moralize, though.
Yeah, but see, I wasn't even saying moralizing. I'm saying it annoys me when it becomes a.
Whoa! See again. I'm
remembering
now why I wasn't.
How real are you? Like, how genuine are you into the steampunk thing? It's like, what? I don't like this comparison game.
I'm not sure. I think you've lost me again.
It's a bit like somehow you have to demonstrate how G you are. I suppose is that a okay terminology for it? Like, it bothers me. I don't know. It's the notion that you have to prove that you're a legitimate nerd is dumb. It's like this has not been. No.
I hate these kind
and
of
I
puzzles.
get that vibe with steampunk and cyberpunk. Maybe less so with cyberpunk, but still, I get that vibe.
I don't know who you're hanging around.
Well, what?
Because I'm not familiar with this subculture you're talking about. Hey, I did it.
Well, even so, when we were watching, I think there was an episode on Forged and Fire where what's his head that always is the end of the steampunk thing. Got into this debate about...
I don't know who you're talking about on that, then. Who in Forged and Fire was the steampunk guy?
The judge that was the steampunk dude,
Who? I don't remember there being steampunk judges.
The weird...
They were all old. Who of them was a steampunk guy?
The weird dude with the constantly dressed in the
he wore
vests.
That's not... Okay, I refuse to let the steampunk community as a whole claim vests.
No, that's not what I said.
Well, that was all he wore.
He legitimately, multiple times in a couple different episodes, talked about the fact that he was into steampunk and that he wore... Because oftentimes he had the weird little glasses, too, on the top of his head. Do you not remember this?
I do not remember the glasses. I remember he wore vests, but I just thought he was a Wild West kind of guy. He had the big mustache.
No.
I don't remember him ever mentioning steampunk.
He also had weird watches that were like this big and had the weird bits and things like that.
I do not remember any of this.
But see, when people get into it that way, I'm just like, this is not. It's a culture for gaming or for doing, like, if you want to even LARP it, I'm like, okay, whatever. But if you're trying to make steampunk or cyberpunk an actual, like, style thing,
I actually would. See,
It's
you're weird.
bothersome
You're getting
to
weird
me.
in that because I would actually say that's preferable because then it's at least.
how is it preferable?
Because then it's, if you like it, do it. But don't. I don't have any issue with someone saying this is the thing I like, so this is how I'm going to dress. It's like, that's, go ahead.
Well, yeah, but
That's
then
more
don't
interesting
say,
than
like,
what everybody else is
but
dressing
then don't
like.
be like, sure.
Yeah, but I don't recall him getting all measury about it.
No, he said something to the effect of, like, one guy was trying to build a knife that was steampunk, and he was like, oh, that's actually not this, and because of this dumb
Okay, but
reason.
you're talking about, okay, if you're just going to talk about nerds being territorial, you're going to be talking about that forever.
Well, maybe that's true.
So that's not unique to this group of people.
Maybe I'm being unfair to that particular group of people. The bottom line is nerds need to quit trying to one-up each other.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's hardly, you're never going to get that, you're hardly going to get that resolved.
No, I understand that. I find that culture to be annoying when it becomes a who's the real one among us kind of a
Yeah,
thing.
but that's not unique to that group.
No, I agree, it's not, but I find it especially true of that group.
Maybe. So even though I know that it's just a cat in a suit of armor, I've got to find some kind of a weapon. Apparently.
Up on the...
Yeah, it won't let me take those.
That's dumb.
It said something about a claymore is what I was looking
I'd like
for.
to take that with me.
I need a claymore somewhere. Yeah, because I keep it in a bathroom. That's where I keep my claymore. Where do you keep yours? What am I doing? Yeah, I keep a claymore in my bathroom. Because,
Okay, now this is becoming a bit Castlevania-ish.
Not even. You're insulting every retro game by comparing it to this. Because I assure you I'm not going to be using that claymore. Not in the way you're thinking. Because literally, there's a cat inside the suit of armor. I know that. But I can't get it out, I guess, without doing this.
And this is now going to be his beginning of his character arc because he hacks up his own cat by mistake. So
Yeah.
he's just an old cat lady in cyberpunk
form?
disguise.
Well, he's only got one. He does have a robot, though. That's what you'll really have in the future. But it won't be ladies. It'll be old robot dudes. Old cat ladies are probably going to stick around. Even in the cyberpunk, they'll be old cat ladies. But old robot dudes is what we're having to have next. It'll just be a dude with a bunch of little chittering, Wall-E clones. And, okay, I don't have time to go downstairs. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. This is around the point when I was like, yeah, this ain't for me. And we're about at the hour mark. So is this for you? Who is it for? Nay,
The steampunk
that's right.
community. Or the cyberpunk community.
I'm not even sure it'd be
it's
for
not
them because
bad.
there's better games.
Oh, 100%. It's not bad. It's just not good.
Okay, well then what is it? Because I don't think, if it isn't good.
Unnecessary is what it is. White noise.
Yeah, but see, this is where I take a harder line approach, which is that which is unnecessary is bad.
Well, there you go.
I'm just
That's
like,
bad. You shouldn't play
you
this
took
game.
up space that you weren't worthy of. Do I
We
bother?
don't want you breathing the same air with us, whoever made this game.
Well, no, I'm not saying the people who
I'm
made it don't deserve to
joking.
exist. I'm just saying.
joking. Did you pick up on the weird blood going on the pictures?
I don't know if it's blood or if it's just very, very strange, morbid.
Ketchup.
Like maybe they're just a bunch of Beksinski paintings. He's a big fan of Beksinski.
What if he himself painted that with a tomato?
With a tomato. I don't think that qualifies as painting anymore. It's telling me I had a processor somewhere. Is it in my bathroom? That's where I keep everything. What? Okay. What's the geometry of this house? So I'm looking for a processor. I got some samurai armor because I'm a weeb. Every cyberpunk guy's a weeb. Oh, I keep it classy over here. Why would you even have that? Like, what could that possibly communicate to anyone that you'd want to communicate?
Communicates to you that...
That's about it. I don't think it could possibly communicate it to anyone else. What?
That's his
Okay,
old
then.
cat. That probably is. Look.
That's a massive freaking cat.
Well, okay.
It's the
Sorry,
size of
go
a
talk
person.
to your hat again.
It's the size of a... It's
your
my...
cat again.
No,
Yes,
that's
the
my
weird
cat.
pop-up with your cat
That is
makes
my-
it look like some sort of weird chimera.
That
That's
is
what I
my
mean.
cat.
Pull up the conversation.
No, because here's the point. This is my size. This is that cat size.
I see that.
Which
Now
does
pull up
this
the
most-
conversation and I
Okay,
will
if you're
show
just
you.
talking about a freaking icon, that's stupid.
No, it looks exactly like that
No.
skeleton. It 100% could be.
Okay, but this is not... I'm not having to pull up an icon to do that. This is in the game. That's just a representative to be like, okay, here's the sprite of the thing you're talking to. They always make it bigger than it is because you want to talk to it.
Now that I'm thinking about it, you were talking about the poster, but look at what's beside the poster. I'm more concerned about that.
Beside this one?
Yes. What is that? That's highly suspect
I think
back
it's,
there.
I think it's just another one.
Are you... That looks three-dimensional.
No, because it
Pretty
looks
sure
like...
it's a doll.
No, because I think it is another
He's
poster
got
because there's
things
a
going
blue...
on.
And it overlaps. I think it's just another
Oh,
poster.
maybe you're right.
I mean,
I
once
hope
again,
so.
I'd say, this is the living room, too. This is where people would be if you invited them over. So I guess that means we don't invite people over ever.
Either that or we do and we just don't care.
Well, he could be one of those guys who was just like, yep, I'll show up to the door in my boxers. Yep, I'll have you sit underneath the posters. What, are you uncomfortable about it? Then again, that's often another critique that happens in the cyberpunk stuff is like essentially the meaninglessness of sexuality at that point, where it just becomes such a commodity that it's just a thing nobody even cares about anymore.
Yeah, but see, that's why I like the movie Equilibrium is because it's like basically...
You
when they're
have
trying
tried to call that... I don't think it fits in this category. You have tried to put it...
cyberpunk vibe.
No!
It does.
I
Where
really
else
don't
does
think
it
so.
fit? Certainly not steampunk.
I don't think it fits in either of them.
What is it then?
You would just... I don't know. It's a... You could call it dystopian, yes, but not all... There's dystopias that aren't punk related. Not all dystopias are punks.
I feel...
Because I don't think
that-
it's cyber
I feel
enough.
Like it's fairly cyber.
No.
Yeah.
Why? Because all it is drugs.
No.
Pharmapunk.
Pharmapunk.
Because basically that's all that there is of any...
No, but the drugs are manipulating the emotions of your...
Yeah, but what about that cyber? Cyber as in digital, online. That's what cyber means.
I suppose the guns in which they use and things like that.
No,
are
because
very...
that's just flashy. You can be flashy with any kind of gun. John Wick is
Well,
flashy.
what is future punk?
There is no future punk. That's my point. It's just dystopian. It can be dystopian without having an aesthetic.
Maybe.
Or without having a rigidly defined aesthetic. Because cyberpunk, there's a reason why it always ends in punk, is that it usually has a sort of anti-establishment bent. That's why they can sometimes be preachy. I'm looking for a processor, but I can't find it, and I don't care. So, cyberpunks, I don't know. It's a valid enough critique when it's done well, because there's critiques to be made about where we are as a species.
For sure.
And sometimes it's done reasonably.
And that does have to be actually responsibly put at the foot of misuse, I suppose, of technology.
Well, basically, and that's what good cyberpunk is, a criticism of how reliant do we want to be on this technology, and more to the point.
More to the point.
What
why
does
is that
being-
poster on your wall?
What does being that reliant on? Because because there's someone made a post a while back which was a reasonable criticism of, like, if your cyberpunk is just replacing parts of your body with machines is bad because that makes you less of a human, as if like every limb you hack off takes off a piece of your soul. Where it's like, that just feels preachy and kind of flat. Because it's dumb, but because the whole point of it is...
give the main character a crisis.
The whole point of it is meant to be, when you become so reliant on technology, what you're really becoming reliant on is the people who provide that technology.
Correct.
So it isn't like, you've given too much of your soul to the machine. Because that's that proposes a very strange metaphysical analysis of the universe that I wouldn't even agree with.
Right.
Whereas to say, hey, if you become so dependent on technology that you're literally made of it, then really what you're dependent on is not the technology itself, but the people who give it to you. Which is essentially...
because we're basically here.
Well, and that's basically, as much as it was kind of heavy-handed, the Deus Ex that we played, that's the whole critique, is the primary argument against augmentation isn't that being augmented is somehow like a sin, because you're supposed to be human, and if you're not, that's whatever. That game didn't make that case as well as it could have, but essentially the point of the game is, no, if your body is made up of these components sold by these companies, then these companies literally control the most basic aspects of your life.
Yeah.
And then, so that's the greater risk. And that doesn't, again, it doesn't have to be bodily augmentation. It could basically be any technology you're so reliant on puts you more in the pocket of the people who provide it.
Yeah.
And that's a valid, I mean, the fact of the matter is we're living in a cyberpunk dystopia. It just didn't turn out like any of the films. So we didn't recognize it because it wasn't the way we thought it would look. Sure. But we are essentially living in one. Because that's a valid enough criticism for modern day, is saying the more dependent on a technology, the more the people who provide it control you.
Well, I mean, I've talked about this briefly as we were talking about kind of government conspiracy, those types of things. But on a hacktivist or like a hacker level, people that want to, if you could create a significant enough outage or like down for the United States as far as a total for all of the technology that we use on a daily basis, it would be catastrophic, even though you're technically not even actually harming any person or any organization. It's like you're screwing up, like everything we do now is related to that. I remember actually one particular day that I think the stock market, all of their tracking and all of that kind of stuff went away, and people were freaking out. There was like a run on the bank because of it. I was like, this is a weird, what? But it's because we're so dependent and reliant on the technology. You're going, well, that's not a safe thing.
No. So Cyberpunk has a point to make. The problem is I think people have lost the point that it's meant to make for its aesthetic. Which...
That's what I was saying about earlier about it becomes a comparison game. It's been watered down to the point of only being about.
I don't
the
think
aesthetic.
It's watered down. I think
been.
there's always going to be things that try to copy other things without understanding what made them work. And that's not the same as being watered down. That's just this. There's good things that get made that have a point to make and have a unique aesthetic. So then people think, well, I'm going to copy that aesthetic because it will make people think that I'm like that thing, but I won't have any of the actual substance that thing had.
Maybe.
So it's like, and that's not the same as being watered down. That's just copycat syndrome. That happens in any medium. There's fantasy that's trying to be like J.R.R. Tolkien without actually any of the depth that he has. Yeah. That's not, again, it's just, it's cheap knockoffs, and those exist all over the place. Anyways...
But to have the community actually say it's more about the aesthetic.
Yeah, but I don't think the community does. I think anyone who actually likes the cyberpunk stuff knows what it's about. At least I would hope. I don't know. I wouldn't consider myself enough of part of it to know the people in it, but I would at least assume that they know the thing they like well enough to know why they like it, but maybe I'm being too optimistic again. Anywho. Yeah, the game
Steampunk.
game wasn't.
Cyberpunk.
Once again, I was right.